In Delhi, people are losing anywhere from 8 to 12 years of their life.
People need to install air purifiers.
You can have ischemic heart disease, scientifically and proven to be linked because of air pollution. It is the health of the entire population of the country which is at risk. 10 to 13,000 liters of air is what you're breathing in one day.
Hi everyone, I'm Garima Kotru. Welcome back to another interesting episode of our podcast. And today we have another special guest with us, Mr. Barun Aggarwal, the founder of Breathe Easy. So, hi sir.
Very good morning. How are you doing, Karima?
I am doing great. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We are very grateful for your presence.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So, sir, today we are going to talk about the importance of air purifiers in each and every household in India, especially in a city like Delhi, where the AQI hovers between unhealthy to severe category. I know it is very important, but let's just discuss it in a bit detail. So, before we get into the serious conversation, I just wanted to ask, can you tell us something about your company and how did you get into this air purifier business?
Well, my company is called Breathe Easy Consultants Private Limited. We are India's first and largest indoor air quality solutions company. That's a long story, but I'm going to summarize it and tell you how I got into this space. Essentially, I had moved back from the United States with two small children. Okay. And both my children started developing a little bit of wheezing and a little bit of like borderline asthma issues.
Okay.
And we have a building in Delhi in Nehru Place only called the Paharpur Business Center, which has been certified by the Central Pollution Control Board to be the healthiest building of Delhi. They did a 3-year study in that building on the health and the lungs of the occupants of that building. And over 3 years, they did multiple tests. And after that, they certified that building to be the healthiest building compared to other buildings that they had also tested.
Great.
And so using that, when both my children started to fall sick after moving back from the US, I went to my father-in-law who used to sit in that building and the owner of that building. I said, you've done it for your building. Why aren't you helping others? We need to figure out something for our homes and for our children as well. And that's when he said, I've got enough on my plate. Why don't you start something? And that's how Breathe Easy started. I was like, I don't know very much about air quality. What will I do? But I started studying the topic. I learned everything there was to learn about it. And we did a lot of research on the various air purifiers that were available on the market.
Obviously.
And most of them were not very effective. And we found one that was somewhat effective. We put it for our children and it helped. And that's when I realized that this is a huge problem. People today don't even understand. That time there was no AQI, there was no talk about air pollution.
There was
in the
no
newspapers.
Awareness about this.
Correct.
Nothing
awareness,
at all.
Absolutely. Awareness levels were super low or zero, non-existent.
Non-existent, right.
You won't believe this, Garima. For the first 8 months when I started Breathe Easy, मैंने अपने घर पे तो लगा लिया.
Air
purifiers and children started to feel better. But when I started talking about this with other people, nobody really cared about it. And for the first 8 months, we had 0 customers and 0 revenue. My own family started telling me that I don't want to do anything for the rest of my life, so I'm trying to sell clean air, something which is invisible. Pollution is invisible. In this room also, you can't see pollution, but somewhat pollution is always there.
Obviously.
So my own family started saying that he doesn't want to do anything for the rest of his life. That's why he's selling air, because nobody will buy, so he'll do nothing.
He's just burning hole in its pocket.
That's it. But somewhere, there was a belief, there was a conviction that there is a real problem. And we need to do something about this. We need to create the awareness. We need to help people because people are not aware that they are in a big problem today.
Did people even know about the concept of air purifiers at that time?
Not really. I mean, there were 3-4 companies selling air purifiers in India at that time. But to be honest with you, their business was a very, very, very small business. मतलब just नाम के वास्ते एक business चल रहा है, try कर रहे हैं, that's it. There was no awareness. The sales were very poor. Retail stores were not ready to keep air purifiers. It was just by word of mouth, 10, 20, 50, 100 machines. When we bought 10 machines, I had all 3 companies, the first 10 machines we bought, all 3 companies said, sir, you'll be our biggest customer if you buy 10 machines from us. That's how.
Oh my God.
That's how small the business was at that time. So we then said, okay, we need to create awareness. How do we do this? We ended up calling every editor of every large newspaper, magazine to our office in Nehru Place. We showed them what clean air means in a building like that. We showed them with data, with numbers. At that time, there was scientific grade equipment available to measure air quality. Each piece of equipment was a very expensive piece of equipment. Today you can get air quality measuring equipment for 10, 20, 30,000 rupees. That time it was 5 lakh, 10 lakh rupees for one piece of equipment. But we had that. So we showed all those editors, we taught them what is PM 2.5, what is air pollution, what are the different pollutants in the air. And slowly they started writing editorials. Those editors would go back, they would write editorials about air pollution being a menace, and it started coming out in the public eye a little bit. Then there were two events that really changed the landscape of the business of air filtration. The first event was when the United States Embassy in New Delhi decided to make the data for air pollution publicly available. So they invested in a very high quality monitoring system to measure the air pollution. And internally, against all odds, they chose and they decided to make that data publicly available. And that's when awareness levels went up, saying, oh, because at that time there was no, the Delhi government, the DPCC, CPCB were not publishing the data of air quality. They had data, but they were
Nobody
not
cared
making
enough
it.
about this.
No, the air was so bad that they were not ready to publish it. They didn't want to make it public. ये खराब है. When it is bad, you don't want to say कि this
Reputation
is
का
bad.
सवाल है.
Exactly.
Right.
So they were not making that data public. But the US Embassy was the first one to make the data public, and that's when awareness went up. The second trigger that happened was President Obama. At that time, he had come to India for, I think it was the Republic Day
Yeah, I
parade.
remember. Right.
And then there was an article in the newspaper just when he left that his 3-day visit to India has cost him 4 hours of his life because of the air pollution in Delhi.
Oh my God.
I remember the number of calls I started getting from people after that, that if President Obama has come here for 3 days and he's lost 4 hours of his life, I live here in Delhi, Barun. How is it impacting my life? My children live here. My children are growing up here. How is it impacting their lives? What do I do to protect ourselves? And that's when slowly people started realizing and buying air filtration systems, whether it be an air purifier or whether it be a whole house air filtration system. Then schools started waking up, the first international schools, American school, British school, German school, slowly and steadily, all of them started realizing that something needs to be done.
Right.
And today, I think it's gotten to a point where a lot of people who can afford it are either have already got something or are thinking about it to put proper filtration systems in their home. Filtration systems can be air purifiers, can be larger systems, can be whole home systems, can be all sorts of different possibilities are available today.
Right.
It has evolved a lot from the last 13 years when I started this business. But technology has definitely improved since then.
Nice. So, thank you so much for giving that insight. That's very nice. Now, let's just get to the main point, why this is important, why people need to install air purifiers in homes and offices or any kind of air filtration system.
See, first thing to understand is that air filtration should only be done in indoor spaces. I want to bring this point up before I talk about why it's important. Outdoor air pollution is a big problem also, and we need to fix the outdoor air pollution. However, by placing air purifiers, smoke towers, these towers that the government is saying let's put up in every corner of the city, all these are band-aid solutions that do not fix the problem. The way to fix outdoor pollution is to control the emissions at source. So do whatever it takes to stop the pollution at the source where it is being created. And there are 13 main reasons why this is happening. All 13 of those have to be addressed across the country, and we can actually improve the air pollution problem in India over the next 5 to 10 years. drastically. Many countries in the world have improved it, starting from London, the great London fog in the 1940s. Philadelphia used to be the steel hub of America. All the steel plants used to produce huge amounts of pollution.
Right.
They fixed it. Los Angeles, being a huge area with a lot of automobile, has fixed the problem. Mexico City was the world's most polluted city at one point. They fixed the problem. Beijing had the title of the most polluted capital of the world. They fixed the problem. And now Delhi. It's Delhi's turn, India's turn, and it is our responsibility to fix the problem outdoors by controlling the source. Why is it important, you ask? Particulate matter is so small, the PM 2.5, by which the AQI is typically calculated, it is so small that it is typically invisible. And when it is invisible and it is so small, when we are breathing, those particles go into our human body. A lot of them will get stuck in the lungs, but some of them are so small that they will go through the blood barrier and go into the blood, and hence will reach all the organs of the human body. So it's not just something that will affect your lungs and you'll have a cough, or you may have some breathing
issues,
problem, or asthma or COPD. But you can also have stroke. You can have ischemic heart disease. You can have kidney failure. You can have you can have liver disease. You can have reproductive organ disease. Birth weight of children is reduced in India because of particulate matter in the womb of a pregnant mother. Diabetes, Alzheimer's, enough diseases have already been linked scientifically and proven to be linked because of air pollution. So if you now look at why is it important, it is the health of the entire population of the country which is at risk. There was a study, the Lancet study, which said that in Delhi, people are losing anywhere from 8 to 12 years of their life because of air pollution. Now, look at the economic cost of that. Every person, every adult who lives in the city of Delhi, I'm not going to say every adult, but a large percentage of those adults pay taxes.
Right.
Every single adult who lives in Delhi consumes something or the other, whether it be food, whether it be products, whether it be something. There are indirect taxes in terms of that the person is paying.
Right.
Now, if I'm going to live 8 years less, think about the tax impact of the person not spending money and not paying income tax for 8 years. Take the entire population, multiply that by the amount of tax one person typically pays, whether it is indirect in the form of consumption or whether it is direct in the form of income tax, and you add all of it together for a population of a city, the economic cost of not fixing air pollution is much larger, much larger than the actual cost of fixing the problem. So it's very important. Now, in the winter time, when the pollution levels go higher, all our hospitals get burdened. And the pulmonary wards in these hospitals are full, especially Diwali night or those peak 2 week when the parali burning happens and the pollution goes very high. Those 2 weeks, the pulmonary wards are full. There's no room in those hospitals and those wards. Obviously, the reason is the pollution. So why is it important? People are falling sick. I get a call on Diwali night from a mother saying, my child cannot breathe. Please help me. Please send an air purifier to my house just now. I have called my team, opened the warehouse at 2 o'clock in the morning on Diwali night and delivered an air purifier by 3:30 in the morning to the mother. And next morning she says, my child survived and was able to breathe because of the air purifier.
In those 4-5 hours, itna impact ho gaya wo.
The child was unable to breathe because of the heavy smoke, and the moment in half an hour the smoke can be eliminated in a closed space, in a closed room. If I put an air purifier over here, in 20 minutes I can get the pollution to zero in this room. So if the pollution is zero, then suddenly that heaviness that is there in the breathing will go down and I'll be able to breathe. So a child is even more susceptible to some of these problems because the rate of respiration in a child is higher than an adult. So they feel it even more so. So when you hear things like that, and this is anecdotal, I'm not going to say that every single person is going to feel the same way. One person felt that way, theek hai, I was able to help that person and I feel good about that. But at the end of the day, there are short-term and long-term impacts of air pollution, and that's why it's important to fix it. especially in your homes, in your bedroom, in your office where you're spending maximum time. It's important to fix it, because not only is there a short term impact in terms of coughing and asthma or
Asthma.
little breathing
Respiratory
issues or
issues, right?
respiratory issues, but there are long term impacts also of this pollution. That black carbon, the particulate
Yeah,
matter
yeah.
that is there from the combustion, whether it is your petrol vehicles, whether it is the parali, whether it is the waste burning in Delhi, there are so many different
So many
causes.
different causes,
That
right.
black carbon goes into the lungs, goes into all the organs, and there are long term there is long term
Long-term.
harm to
Yeah,
the human
obviously.
body with regards to air pollution. So hence it becomes critical to address it. Today, you tell me, when you go out to a restaurant, do you ask, is it RO water or is it filtered water?
No, not really.
If
But
you're going to a
very fancy restaurant, obviously
fancy
they
restaurant, you may not ask. But if you go to an average restaurant or a roadside dhaba, will you say bottle ka pani do?
obviously that is the need. I cannot drink tap water
Why not?
because it's very polluted. I can get sick immediately.
Exactly. You very worried about, and how much water do you drink in a day?
1.5 liters.
That's not enough. Ideally, you should drink 3-4
Yeah,
liters.
I'm
But
dehydrated.
so you drink 1.5 liters of water, and you're very worried. Ki tap water I cannot drink because I'll fall sick because it's polluted.
Right.
But do you know how many liters of air you breathe in one day?
No idea.
You breathe about 10,000 liters of air in one day. 10 to 13,000 liters of air is what you're breathing in one day. Now, are you worried ki, am I breathing clean air? No, you're not. Are you worried that this air is polluted, I should stop breathing? You can't stop breathing. You can stop drinking water. Chalega thodi der ke
Chalega
liye.
thodi der.
But you cannot stop breathing.
Obviously.
But the air you're breathing is polluted. It's important to try and fix it. You fixed your water, even food. If I show you that I'm putting lead on top of your food, will you eat it? If I put all sorts of pollutants in your food,
No.
will you eat it? No, you won't.
Hygiene is important.
Hygiene is important. Pollutants are important. What has gone into your food? People are looking at organic food,
Yes.
healthy food. Health and wellness is such a big topic nowadays.
Yes.
So food and water people are a lot more aware of. But what about the food you eat 500 grams to 1 kilo in a day? Water you drink 1 to 4 liters a day. Air you're breathing 10,000 liters. What about that? Isn't that going to have an impact? What goes into your body has an impact on you. Air goes into your body, water goes into your body, food goes into your body, and sound goes into your body.
Right.
Even sound has an impact on your health and wellness. So the air is the maximum that goes into the body, and you have to be careful. That's why it's important to clean it, at least in the areas where you're spending the maximum time, whether it's your bedroom and your office or any other place that you're spending more time.
Agree. So having said that, what are the most common misconceptions that people generally have about air purifiers? Like one that I could think of is that people generally think that air purifiers are very expensive, highly expensive. We cannot afford it. So can you shed some light on this?
See, there are many misconceptions with regards to air filtration, in especially I would say in India. I'll first address your point and then I'll come to some of the other points. That it is expensive.
Yes.
Yes, it can be expensive, but it doesn't have to be expensive. Okay, there are grades of filtration. There is levels. At least get something that is reasonable that you can afford. There are air purifiers available in the market starting from 7,000-8,000 rupees, going up to 1,00,000 rupees also.
Yes.
Is the 7,000-8,000 rupees worth it? Depends. There are too many variables over here that you have to answer. It depends on the size of the room that you're putting it in. It depends on at what speed you're going to run the machine. It depends whether the windows of that room are well sealed and closed or not. So there are many different variables. If you genuinely want perfect air quality, and I say Swiss air quality, then yes, it will cost money. Air filtration is today, unfortunately, a luxury and it is expensive. But it's not necessary that it has to be expensive. There are now technologies. There's a company in the US that put out a YouTube video where you can develop a air purifier on your own. Just buy
Really?
HEPA filters and buy a fan from the market and buy tape and put it together, and it becomes an air purifier.
And how much does it cost?
you can potentially put it together for 7, 8, 10,000 rupees maximum yourself, and a decent sized air purifier.
And what's the shelf life of that? What's the life?
It depends on the pollution levels. Your filters will get dirty depending on the levels of pollution. So typically those filters will last you anywhere from 6 months to 1 year, but the fan will continue to run. So you just change the filters when they get bad. There's a company in India called Smart Air. They started in China. Professor from Chicago started that company. We helped them get their first set of filters through customs in India, and they now sell those machines and filters, low cost air purifiers, which work. They take care of the particulate matter in the air. There are now products that we've developed that can do whole house air filtration systems. So earlier it was only room by room. Today we've got a machine, one single machine for the whole house. For a lakh of rupees, one entire apartment up to 1,500 to 2,000 square feet also can be completely air purified with fresh, clean air. This was unheard of when I started 12 years ago. Impossible to do. But today technology has improved and it's possible. Sure, are there more expensive solutions out there? There are. People who really want to go to that last level of perfect air quality, ultra fine nanoparticles, every chemical, every gas in the air has to be removed. So sure, those can become expensive. But to start off with, it doesn't have to be very expensive.
Yeah.
My children and a couple of their cousins have got together and developed a new project called Project Vayu, as an example. And they developed a 150 rupee air purifier.
That's it?
Yes. And they've just won multiple awards with that 150 rupee air purifier, and they're putting it free of cost in multiple schools around Delhi NCR right now.
Very nice.
So
kudos to them.
Correct. So you can take a filter like that and put it on a fan. Your table fan hota hai na? You put it, or a wall fan. You just put it on top of that like a cap.
And it will work as an air purifier.
It works as an air purifier, and it's 150 rupees for an air purifier on your existing fan. So more and more people are innovating in this space, and they are doing this because they grew up in an environment which talked about sustainability and air quality, and they feel very much about some of the schools. My son goes to Sanskriti school. There's a slum behind the school, and he sees all of them and he says, how can we help them? Because they can't afford even 10,000 rupee air purifiers.
Obviously.
So that 150 rupee air purifier is targeting that group of people who cannot even afford a 10,000 rupee air purifier. And how do you make it super available and super easily accessible? Because clean air should be a right for everybody. It's not just a right for the rich.
Right, exactly. So these are the few misconceptions I understand.
Another very major misconception. So one is on the cost, but one of the major misconceptions that I've dealt with over the last 13, 14 years of running this business is the fact that people feel that if I breathe clean air at night in my bedroom, at din ke time to bahar jana hi hai. I have to go out during the day. Then I'll breathe polluted air and I'll fall sick because my immunity will come down. Right.
That is the next question which I wanted to ask you. That people have this, thing in their mind कि अभी ठीक है हम एक indoor space में हैं, we are breathing a very clean air, but when we step outside, the AQI is in severe category. Then obviously we will feel sick.
Correct.
So
that is a misconception, and the correct answer to that is that it is a cumulative effect on your lungs. The more pollution that goes into your lungs, the darker it will get, the more problems your body will have. For 8 hours, if I can eliminate the loading of my lungs with pollution when I'm sleeping in clean air, or if I'm in my office in clean air, there'll be less pollution in my lungs. Cumulatively, kam hoga. So 8 hours of clean air means 33% less pollution in my lungs, which means 33% longer life of my lungs, which means if my life is 80 years, 33% more my lungs can potentially survive compared to whatever they would have had I not had clean air. So people don't realize it's a cumulative effect. So having clean air for a few hours is not reducing your immunity. The reason why people think like that in India is because of water. पहले सब tap water पीते थे. Then we realized tap water is polluted and RO started coming in. And now because of RO, what happens with RO is it removes all the microbial contaminants in the water, including all the bacteria and viruses.
Right.
Now, that what is a virus? At the end of the day, when you get a vaccination, what is a vaccination?
To boost our immunity.
What is inside that vaccine?
I don't know. Any kind of particle?
No. So inside the vaccine is a strain of that virus. When you put a strain of that virus into the body recognizes that strain and develops antibodies against that particular virus. And that's hence you get vaccinated against it. So your body, when it has a certain amount of bacteria and viruses of certain kinds, it develops an immunity against them. So with RO, you stop taking in that bacteria and viruses completely. Now, it's a good thing. I'm not saying RO is bad. In some cases, RO is required today. But because if you some bacteria and viruses in the water can be so harmful that they can kill you also. So when you eliminate all of them, the ones that were not so bad for you also get eliminated, and your immunity comes down. Now, when you drink tap water and you put that bacteria or virus into your body, you'll fall sick. But that's not the case with air. Because we are not trying to eliminate bacteria and viruses from the air. What we are trying to eliminate is the harmful
Pollutants.
PM 2.5, black carbon, harmful gases like sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, hydrogen sulfide. I'll give you another example. In Noida, near Delhi, air conditioning manufacturers are very scared of giving warranty on their ACs.
Why?
Because the copper pipes from the outdoor unit to the indoor unit, and the outdoor unit gets corroded very quickly because there's very high levels of hydrogen sulfide in the air. Corrosion बहुत जल्दी हो जाता है. Within 1 year, जो warranty होता है, within 1 year the corrosion happens and the AC stops working. So they don't like to even service or give warranty. They charge extra money for that. Now imagine if a copper pipe is getting corroded because of the air. What is happening to our lungs?
Body, right.
So these misconceptions that breathing clean air will reduce my immunity, that it is too expensive, these are all myths that people should understand the science. Some people even tell me that, oh, this is all a conspiracy theory of the West trying to sell product to India.
No, that's not. That's
the pollution is real. It is
right.
affecting us. Look at our hospitals. It's not a conspiracy.
Obviously. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving such insightful information about air purifiers and how it is important for each and every person, for each and every household, whether they are rich or not. So yeah, thank you so much. Before so we have reached to the end of this podcast. Before we say goodbye to you, I wanted to ask how has your experience been with Hub and Oak so far, and how has our team supported you?
Well, it's been good. We've been here now over a year. What I like about a co-working facility, earlier we used to have our own offices. I like the energy in a co-working space, right? Because you see other companies, you see other people, there's always hustle and bustle and some
right.
people moving around, which is a good thing. It creates more energy. You see people working late into the evening, you see people coming in early. So it gives you energy and gives you motivation that, everybody is working, even we should work, we should do more, we should create that. And as a space, this is just a lively, clean, simple. It just works. You don't have to worry about all the maintenance issues of your own place that typically in an office, if you have your own space, you have to worry about. There's a team over here that just takes care of everything. So it's been a great experience working with Hub and Oak. I wish we had central air filtration over here, but what we've done is we've put smaller air purifiers in each of our rooms so that we have clean air also, which hopefully everybody else should do. But otherwise, it's been a very good experience.
Thank you so much, sir. So that was Mr. Barun Aggarwal. I hope this video helped you somewhere about the topic of air pollution and how it has become a menace for everybody and how one should work on it. So that's all for today. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel.